So, hello everyone, and I'm happy to be back at this 7 a.m. Oh, I still. So I think I have all the computers and screens and buttons and audio set up for this. And as I said, I've been away and happy to be back and be with you all. And I've been teaching a 2-week retreat for experienced practitioners. And it was really lovely to be so deeply connected for 2 weeks with a group of people who are so dedicated to engaging in the practice. And it was, so I'm still kind of in the momentum of that retreat. It ended yesterday. And I'm looking forward to, in the fall, in September, teaching a month-long retreat for experienced practitioners. And this has been a dream we've had for our retreat center at Insights Retreat Center since we started in 2012. We almost had a month-long retreat in May of 2020, but then the lockdown happened. So now we're fine. It looks like we're going to get to it. And there was kind of a warm-up for me to do the 2-week this last time. So welcome everyone back to this 7 a.m. YouTube. And we'll do a follow-up or a second part to what was started in the beginning of January, which was a series on Samadhi. And the partner to Samadhi is insight, vipassana. And it's sometimes combined with the word samatha vipassana. And samatha here means calm, and vipassana means clear seeing. In Chinese, when they translated Buddhist terms into Chinese, they use the characters stop for samatha and for this ordinary word to see for vipassana. Stop and see. So there's a wonderful process of stopping all our proliferations, all our preoccupations, all the ways we're caught. It's a phenomenally wonderful process to be engaged in slowing down the mind's preoccupations so that we can see clearly. And as we slow down, calm down, settle down, have some samadhi, it's remarkable what we can see that's not available if we're not settled, if we're haven't stabilized the mind. And in fact, it's a long tradition of understanding that without some degree of samadhi, it's inconceivable to understand what's possible in terms of the degree of clarity, the degree of peace, the degree of well-being that's possible for a human being. And so to have some degree of stability then allows us to see clearly. So to begin this meditation today and begin this series on insight, we begin with calling upon whatever delights you, inspires you about sitting down to meditate right now. Maybe gently closing your eyes. Maybe for some of you, it's simply to be here, like me. I'm inspired to be here with you all for this 7 a.m. meditation. And maybe there's a kind of happiness or gladness to have this opportunity. Some of you have done this for a long time, and so maybe there's the comfort of familiarity. Maybe there's the confidence of engaging in something that you believe in or value tremendously or somewhat. And to feel the inspiration, the joy of simply being here to meditate. And feel it in such a way that the thinking mind feels comforted or safe enough to quiet. Quiet to better feel the sensations in the body, heart, mind of well-being. And maybe for some of you, there's also a kind of sense of rightness, of assuming your meditation posture. Maybe there's inspiration with the posture to be back in a familiar place. Maybe a joy that this body and its posture is a bit like a temple, a sacred place that you have returned to. And in the middle of this familiar and maybe happy place, to gently take a few long, deep breaths. Not too deeply, not too strongly, just enough to say hello to your breathing, and for your breathing to say hello to you. Just enough for there to be a reconnection, refamiliarity. Letting your breathing return to normal. And part of Samadhi is stability. And as you exhale, ordinary exhale, relax, let go into how the weight of your body rests against some surface, chair, cushion, floor, bed. Stabilizing yourself by grounding your weight on the surface. And as if the mind itself has weight. As you exhale, let that very light weight of the mind, maybe of awareness itself, settle and steady itself. almost as if the mind, or at least awareness, can settle into your torso. To accompany your breathing. Relaxing the thinking mind. And letting awareness enter into the sensations of the body breathing, as if it's a coming home, as if it's coming into a safe place, a sacred place, a supportive place, simply to be breathing in and breathing out. As you breathe in, calming your body. As you breathe out, calming your body and mind. As you breathe, recognizing any degree of calm that might be present for you. As you exhale, spread your awareness into whatever diffuse calm there is in your body. And then with an inner eye, an inner clarity, what do you see? What do you see? Or how do you see that's easier while you're calm? And if you turn your calm eyes, your inner eyes, towards the people of your life, and with calm eyes, calm consideration, do you see them in a new way or in a good way? As we bring this meditation to a close, gaze upon the world kindly and offer to the world your wish for a better world, your inspiration to contribute to a better world. May it be that with your ability to be calm and to see clearly, that you can promote happiness in this world, promote safety in this world, promote peace in this world. Bring greater freedom and liberation to this world. May all beings be happy, safe, peaceful, and free. Thank you. So, good morning and welcome. And returning here with the sun beginning to come in through the windows. And I think in the past I've had a little umbrella or something there in the way, but tomorrow I'll see if I can not have it so bright on my face. It's a little bit much for me even. But I can't complain too much about sitting in the light of Samadhi, the light of insight. And so welcome to this beginning of part 2. Part 1 was I guess we had about 60 talks on Samadhi, and I don't think there'll be so many this time around, but this part 2 is insight. And these two are paired in Buddhism, Samadhi and Vipassana. Vipassana is a Pali word. Pasana means to see, and vi is an emphatic prefix. So to see in a special way, to see, is often translated as clear seeing. And the relationship between Samadhi and Vipassana, Samadhi and insight, is variable. Different teachers will have different emphasis. And one of the contributions in the 20th century of Burmese Buddhism was to introduce people to a way of doing insight practice without the need for a very intense level of samadhi, intense level of concentration. And so that was called dry vipassana, because it wasn't supported by the strong degree of pleasure, joy, and happiness that can pervade the body when there's samadhi. However, the way that it was taught to me in Burma, this so-called dry samadhi, dry vipassana, came along with a lot of concentration anyway. It wasn't to the degree of the very intense way that the Burmese had expected samadhi to be about. And so I was blessed by being able to do the insight work partnered with a degree of samadhi, which is seemingly closer to how the Buddha taught vipassana. He did not teach the most intense form of samadhi that a human being can acquire, but a lesser degree that kept people connected to their lived experience in their body, but in a way that filled the body with a sense of well-being. And part of the function, and so compared to the most dry form of insight, where there's no samadhi whatsoever, one way to practice them is a happy combination of the two, where there is some samadhi and insight. And the samadhi creates a good foundation for insight, because you cannot have a lot of insight unless the thinking mind has settled down. Oddly enough, one of the insights that we are resting in is to rest or flow in the changing river, the constantly shifting, changing, inconstant experience of sensations in the body. And that's a phenomenal way it begins to loosen up attachments, clinging we have, and introduce us to a whole different inner sensibility. I call it sometimes the deep mind. And in order for that to happen, the constantly shifting, changing, inconstant, fickle the nature of the thinking mind needs to quiet down. And so there's a kind of, if the thinking mind becomes still and quiet, then we can start entering into this very deep, the deep mind, the deep sensations, the deep sensitivity within that opens up a whole different way of being in the world. And so part of the function of samadhi is to help quiet the mind, quiet the thinking mind, still the mind, but to do so in a way that's very welcoming, that of course the mind wants to be quiet when the rewards, the sense of well-being, sense of coming home, into samadhi, into a settledness, into this deep place of sensitivity within. It feels so good, so right. Feels like, um, um, this is the healthy place to be. The thinking mind can't believe this sometimes because the thinking mind sometimes is filled with fear, and the thinking mind thinks that it has to think its way out of its fear or solve the problems it has. Thinking mind maybe has resentments, sense of betrayal, and it's only by kind of ruminating on them or trying to figure out how to somehow cope with them or deal with them, repeat them to ourselves, that we can find a solution. There's all kinds of ways, happiness, joy, success in life. The thinking mind kind of is convinced that that's, it's going to figure this out for ourselves. Or maybe there's no sense of an inner life which is satisfying and meaningful and filled with well-being. And so the only avenue for happiness, success, safety that someone knows is through the thinking mind, because they don't know an alternative. So of course they're going to be engaged in that and not wanting to give it up. Samadhi teaches us something very different. It teaches us how there's a profound sense of well-being that's below the thinking mind, below the surface mind. And there's a profound sense of stillness and quiet that is a form of safety, is a form of happiness, is a form of joy. And so that allows the mind to quiet down, so that it can then, that's the stopping or the stilling of the mind, the calming of the mind of samadhi, samatha. And then it shifts to being able to see more clearly. And it's not just seeing more clearly, but it's also seeing something we don't normally see. We don't normally see the deep operating systems going on, the deep kind of organizing principles by which we organize our life, the deep beliefs, the deep attitudes, the deep emotions that either support our life or undermine our life. They're generally inaccessible by a mind that's preoccupied in thoughts, ruminating, thinking a lot, fantasizing a lot. And so there's a whole different way of engaging ourselves that I believe is very respectful, because it's a deeper, more fully engaged part of who we are. And the combination of samadhi and insight is that samadhi, done well, is that is a way of becoming fully embodied. And fully embodied doesn't mean that now we're a hedonist feeling a lot of joy in the body. It allows for the insight to be integrated into the full range of our psychological life, our emotional life, our lived life. That sometimes is not possible if we don't have a degree of samadhi. If samadhi is helping us calm and expand into the whole body, then we're touching all the different places that the body is connected to our psychology, our emotions, the places of tension and holding, and the places of deep sense of well-being and joy. And so one of the functions of samadhi is to help us have the clarity to have insight, but also helps the insight we have to be deeply integrated into our whole psychological makeup. And so going into having insight be able to include all of who we are means we don't have a bypass. Spiritual bypass means that it's really beneficial in our whole life. And as we have deeper and deeper kind of sense of peace and insight, it's good to have the insight itself be integrated into our full spectrum of our life. So the integration, the combination of samadhi and insight is a wonderful, happy partnership. And and so the first part of this year where we did samadhi, hopefully for those of you who did it, will set the stage, or not the stage, but set your body in place for ability to have insight, and insight in a way that's deeply integrated into yourself. For those of you who might be joining now for the first time, maybe some of the benefits of samadhi won't be so easily accessible to you, but still there'll be, as we go through this and integrate these two, you'll probably benefit getting a sense of what's going on here, and it might open up a new orientation for you in meditation that even for a beginner might be beneficial. So this is a very gentle introduction to what we'll be doing, and some of what I just said we'll kind of repeat or go into more deeply this week and more. And I'm very happy to be able to introduce or begin this journey in insight. It's been a phenomenally wonderful process in my life, journey in my life, to be on the insight journey, and now to share it with you will be is my pleasure. So thank you very much.